Traffic there. Last there, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow on the final, and as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to re-sequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RB, maybe an RB-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah, follow.
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello, everyone. Oh, Johnny's muted. Johnny, unmute yourself.
Oh, I am.
There we go. Oh, and he's muted again. Hello and welcome everyone to tonight's Flyers livestream, brought to you thanks to our sponsor SkyDemon, the UK's most popular planning and navigation app. If you're one of the few rare people who've not yet tried it, why not give it a go? There's a 30-day free trial. How is everybody?
Good. How are you?
Yes. Good. You'll notice that we have Sarah in for Ian tonight, as he is away at the awards night for the Pooley's Dawn to Dusk Challenge. So it's up to us to keep you guys entertained. And to kick us off, we have tonight's top tip from SkyDemon, which is brought to you by Rob Hart.
Hi, I'm Rob from SkyDemon, and here's another top tip. In this video, we will look at fuel you intend to have on board and how that feeds into SkyDemon's calculations. With a route on screen, open up the Flight Details menu. Let's take a quick nose of the weight summary here and endurance summary here before pressing on fuel. Dismissing the keyboard for a moment, this is the screen which shows SkyDemon's estimate for your fuel requirements for the planned route as calculated with reference to your aircraft profile. We can then tap into the fuel field to specify how much fuel we intend to take on board for the flight. When we go back out to the main part of the Flight Details menu, we can now see the effect our change has made to the endurance and weight values. For more information, check out our website or our user manual from within the app.
I have to say, SkyDemon is full of cool stuff like that I never quite seem to get the complete hang of getting it to work correctly. A bit like the weight and balance calculator in it, which always seems to vex me a little bit. I don't know if anyone else has more success than me, but it's definitely finger trouble, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, I've had a couple of issues. I do use another weight balance app, but I shouldn't mention that probably. I'll try and use SkyDemon next time.
And yeah, and remember, you can't having flight planned your flight. You can't just you need to have the amount of fuel that it says you're going to need mid-flight. You can't just add more fuel. And Andrew Kennedy says, is it going to be a rant-free live stream? Well, I don't rant, so with Ian not here, unless Dave's got a plan, or Sarah maybe.
No,
you were having a bit of a rant this afternoon, Ed, when we were in rehearsals, talking about electric aircraft.
Yes, what was remind me what was the rant was, Dave?
The rant was, you think instead of developing brand new aeroplanes, to just develop a brand new power plant that fits in the space that we know exists in existing airframes. It's far more environmentally friendly to just change the power plant, not build completely new aircraft.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't understand why this isn't there's lots of people going, oh, look, it's a brand new aeroplane powered by a brand new power plant. You go, can we not just have electric to go in place of things we already have? Surely that's logical, right? So
yes,
we've got plenty of aeroplanes. We just need power for the future. It's probably not a case for Ed Wins. Well, maybe it is. I don't think it is. Yeah. Good. Right. So waiting for us in the green room tonight is Brian Wheeler, who's going to be our guest. We'll have him on a little bit later. And it must be time for the weekend's weather outlook with Dr. Simon Keeling. Simon, hello. I've got in my notes. Sadly, he's not live, but he is live with us now.
I am alive. I am alive and kicking. Indeed, I am with the weekend forecast for you. I'm out here in West Wales, and the broadband connection sometimes is a little bit dodgy, but it seems to be holding up tonight, and I'm very, very impressed with it. So let's see if we can get through the next couple of minutes glitch free. It all seems to be going very smooth tonight, doesn't it? Even though we seem to have a Mr. Eager missing, but is there a correlation there? I just wonder.
I don't know. I wouldn't speak too soon, really, but.
Right. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. It looks like a good flying weekend. It really is. High pressure is going to be in control again. This is the forecast chart for tomorrow. We've got high pressure centered off towards the south of the country. You see it there over northern parts of France. We've got this cold front that's sort of just coming down into northern and western parts of Scotland. This thing weakening really quickly as it gets southwards. Yes, it'll bring a little bit of rain to the north and the west of Scotland. Pretty breezy there as well. But as we get further south, although there'll be a fair amount of cloud and more cloud than there was today, I think actually it looks pretty good. Bases typically, well, out west early on we may be about 1,000 to 2,000 feet, but they will lift as the day goes on. Once we're across sort of eastern Scotland, northeast England, central eastern parts of England and southern England, there we're going to see bases of 4,000 feet and above. So actually it looks like being a fairly decent day. Now, Saturday, high pressure still in control again. You see it there just over northern parts of France. And we're still up at about 1,040 millibars. Sorry, 1,040 hectopascals for the central pressure of that high on Saturday. So still quite a biggie. I think it will have a fair amount of cloud with it on Saturday. This is the cloud ceiling forecast. And the colours there, the green, telling us when bases are between 2,000 and 4,000 feet above ground level. You see lots of that green colour around, little bits of yellow, which is a little bit lower, 1,000 to 2,000 foot above ground level. But even those bases are going to be lifting. So the fact that there's lots of colour on there tells us there's a fair amount of cloud, but actually the base is generally quite high. The top's probably around about 4,000 to 5,000 feet and decent conditions again through Saturday. Just a bit of a breeze blowing across western Scotland, but for most other areas, light winds. Only thing we need to watch for, I think, central southern parts of England and Wales on Saturday is an increased risk of just some haze developing. And then on Sunday, high pressure stays with us through the course of Sunday. Now, I'm just thinking that central southern parts of England, perhaps southern parts of Wales, may be foggy on Sunday morning. It may take a little bit of time for that mist and fog to lift on Sunday morning. So it could be kind of late morning, 11 o'clock, perhaps even getting into midday before it does. And it leaves behind residual haze, typical visibility 5 kilometers in the afternoon. But generally, if we can escape that, then it looks pretty good too. I think very, very little cloud around. Across Scotland here, better visibility, bases around 3,000-4,000 feet, and similar story for Northern Ireland as well. So all in all, it looks like being a pretty fine weekend. As I say, really fog on Sunday is the main thing that concerns me at the moment. Now, if you want to come along to Aviation Weather School, I've just announced my next classroom-based course. Announced it last night. I've only got 2 places left on it, so if you want to come along, it's on Saturday the 1st of April between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. It's going to be at Weather School HQ, about 3 miles away from Hackney Green, and you would be more than welcome. Come along and I'll show you how you can spot those weather windows 5 days in advance and build your confidence in being able to forecast yourself as well. So yeah, have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the high pressure, won't you? And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Fantastic, Simon. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Simon.
Good, very slick. I was waiting with the stinger there, but you got there ahead of me. So. I did a couple of things. Chris Holliday said, going back to this motor thing, logical apart from the small or big problem of where you put, of how much the batteries weigh. But can you have batteries that go where the fuel tanks would have been? So, you know, okay, batteries tech probably needs to move on a little bit, but put the batteries, you know, where the fuel tanks would be. So maybe on a leading edge, or you know, behind a firewall or something. That
yeah,
I think it deserves some more thought.
And even better, have it modular so you can just pull them out.
Yeah,
stick them on the stick another one in.
Quick change. Yes, yes. Andrew Kennedy said that weather chart says fly to France. I think definitely so. Good. Right, Sarah, can you give us some Flyer Club news?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're not a member of Flyer Club, join today. You can join for just £5 a month, which even if you only used one of our free landing vouchers, you'd make your money back. So we've got 6 amazing airfields this month. We've got Fenland, Middlezoy, Blackpool, Esholt, Fishburn, and Holmbeck Farm. So now is a really good time to join. And also we're about to announce our schedule for the year. So we've got 12 webinars, 1 a month. And the next one coming up is the 21st of February. And we've got Darren Lewington talking about air traffic control. Got it right this week. So we've got loads of exciting topics throughout the year. So we're going to announce the schedule pretty soon. So as well as that, we've got loads of discounts on aviation related goodies and gifts and experiences. So join today, £5 a month, and yeah, start enjoying all the benefits.
Fantastic. Excellent. And yeah, thanks to Poolies for their association with the free landing fees. Yeah, cool. Dave, we must have some news.
Yes, yeah. Our top story tonight is about Cirrus Aircraft and Continental Aerospace Technologies, as they're known now, who make the engines for Cirrus. Cirrus issued a statement last night saying it was grounding its own aircraft, company aircraft, while an issue with a range of Continental engines was investigated. And, this applies to aircraft built between June 2021 and now. The implication being for owners and operators to ground their aircraft too until more was known. We asked Continental what was going on, and they gave us a very cautious statement. What they said was Continental is taking an abundance of caution regarding a potential flight safety issue. While we're working directly with the FAA regarding the affected aircraft, we are proactively making the decision, a bit of marketing speak, we are proactively making the decision to encourage all flights powered by a Continental 360, 470, 520 and 550 engines manufactured between June 1st, 2021 through to February the 7th, to pause flight until further information is available. They've not been any more specific than that, so we don't know what the issue is. There's a bit of speculation going around, but of course, we don't deal in speculation, just facts.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's some talk between them and the FAA, maybe. So,
yeah, it's surprising it affects such a range of engines, though. That's quite a lot.
Yeah,
very different engines.
Yeah, well, see what happens there. But yeah, that'll be quite a big surprise, I think, for a lot of people. So
yeah.
Especially
those people who've bought a brand new Cirrus and just picked it up from the Cirrus Centre.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking today. I mean, obviously, Cirrus were the biggest user of Continental engines, but you look at that list of other. I mean, who else is building new airplanes with Continentals in? And it wasn't an obvious one that I could think of. It's like, who are the other people? Who are the other aeroplanes affected?
Don't know is the answer.
More research required. Yes. Anyway, some good news. Hopefully, that there's going to be a Mosquito heading to Biggin Hill. It's going to be a while, but the UK is going to have its own airworthy de Havilland Mosquito, and it's going to be available for flight experiences with the Spitfire company, flyerspitfire.com. It's been announced by Peter Monk, who's managing director of that, and he says, we're delighted to confirm that we've now commissioned the team at Avspecs New Zealand to commence the restoration of a Mosquito FB6, and the aircraft will join our fleet of two-seat Spitfires and other World War II aircraft that we use for flight experiences here at Biggin Hill. Now, we've got a feeling, you may remember we did a fancy hangar a while ago that looked at projects, and I picked a project. Avspecs was selling a Mosquito FB6 that was a 3-year project, and it was just waiting for the buyer to come along and just pay the money and have it finished off. So we're wondering whether it's this same one. I'm guessing it might be. There can't be too many. But the team at Avspecs, they're the leaders in the field of Mosquito restoration. They're amazing capabilities. They can build new airframes just to the exact factory specs. And this will be the 5th airframe that they've restored to airworthy condition. Peter says, there's always an appetite for us to take on a different restoration project at our own Spitfire factory. The unique skill set and proven experience of Avspecs makes them an obvious choice for this project. It's going to take 3 years, and the aircraft will complete a commemorative tour of New Zealand, Australia, and then then come to the UK. I wonder if they'll fly it in honour of the Commonwealth pilots that flew Mosquitoes in World War II. And checking Dave's news story, apparently they're still trying to decide what it's going to be painted as, aren't they? possibly thinking of one of the bombers that took part in Operation Jericho in 1944, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
yeah, we don't know cost either, do we?
We don't know a cost yet. And in the live stream extra, we were having a bit of a debate, weren't we? It's like, I wonder how much. Join in the comments. But how much would you pay for half an hour in a Mosquito? Sarah, given half a chance, what would you pay?
Half an hour. I don't know, 2,000 maybe, if I really wanted to.
So you'd pay less than the normal price of a Spitfire flight.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, because a Spitfire flight is what, nearly £3,000 now for 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, I think so.
So we were guessing it's got to be probably
the Blenheim
5, 6.
Yeah.
The Duxford Blenheim is 6,750.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
I think that's for a half an hour experience.
Yeah, maybe more. So, but yeah, there's surely going to be an endless queue of people for that, just like there is for Spitfire rides, I'm sure. Is anyone? Yeah, and if you're thinking of going in the comments, sign up. So, yes, Johnny, some news about the Axe.
Yeah, the Axe, the greatly named Axe, which, if you can't remember, is this thing here. So this is the Skyfly Axe, which we've covered before. It's been out in the wild for a while now, or at least the whole project has. But they've got a new sort of investor now from Orion's Aviation, who deal with Pilatus and Tecnam aircraft in the UK. Edwin, it's a long surname, Brenningkenmeyer. That's my go at pronouncing that. He's the CEO of Orion's, and he's basically joined as a kind of strategic investor, offering experience and his expertise in the aviation industry. He deals a lot with investing in US aviation businesses as well. But the Axe, if you don't know, is this thing, which is four electric motors in a fixed position, so they don't tilt in any way. And then obviously, yeah, I mean, it's how else to describe it other than
I have to say I know people take the Mickey out of the name. I mean, who names an aeroplane or vehicle after a tool like an Axe? But I really like this, and I think there's a simplicity to it. I think the fact that they've got no tilting components, they've got 4 motors. I think there's some redundancy built into each one of those as well. I know when we first showed it in live stream, people were like, well, what happens if you take a bird strike in one prop or something like that? But I still think it's pretty exciting, and it's got I think chief designer on it is Bill Brooks, who's one of our leading aeronautical minds, which is fantastic. I think this will be cool. So
yeah, you can order one now, can't you? 150 grand, I think, is the base price.
Yeah,
$150,000, 150,000 quid.
Yeah. And then if you look on the website, there's about 4 extras you can add, which are each about £20,000, which is like the range extender, ballistic parachute.
I definitely have a range extender. So this is not the 4 options. We're not talking like CD player and velour seats.
No. It's interesting. They're marketing it to marine people as well. So they're thinking that you could have one of these instead of a tender. So if your super yacht is moored off in the middle of Plymouth Sound, instead of having to take the tender into the harbour, you could take this, fly it off the deck, and go and land somewhere in Plymouth or wherever you can.
These things all look great for Cavo-K still weather days, but how are they going to cope in?
Yeah, and the whole, like that use case you just said, Dave. It's like when you're in the little boat tender, you just turn up at the quay side. You imagine, like you say, if you got a hope of finding anywhere where you might land one of those and not cause pandemonium in Plymouth.
Yeah, well, you can land inside the Citadel at Plymouth, which is the big thing on the cliffs.
Right.
If you're royal, yeah.
Someone said they don't tilt. So basically it goes up and down. It's a lot cleverer than that, Stuart. There's some videos. They've got some great videos online where Bill talks about a whole bunch of engineering, and I think they show one of their concept models flying. But it's quite clever. Quite clever. I think so anyway. Someone did say, I'll have a pint of what Ed's on. Right. Oh yeah, my news story next. So there's some flying updates for Aero, the show at Friedrichshafen. So last year there were delays for private pilots flying in and out of Friedrichshafen, and they were a bit of a blight on people flying using light aviation to get there. There's been a rethink this year by organisers, and the results are there's some new security procedures that they hope will speed up the process. Tobias Bretzel, project manager at Aero, said, everyone involved has learned from last year. We've had some constructive cooperation with Friedrichshafen Airport, EOPA Germany, and the authorities. And there's a new security concept that will significantly speed up the control process for pilots and their passengers. So that's good. Lots of people, show visitors and exhibitors, travel to Aero in their own and chartered aircraft. This year's event takes place from the 19th to the 22nd of April. The online slot booking system opens from 10 a.m. on the 6th of April. And I know a bunch of people not only fly into Friedrichshafen, but also go into Markdorf, Constance, Ludkirch and Mengen. So, and I know there's probably a few people in the comments who will be thinking of flying themselves. So do let us know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Aero this year.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we're going there by
airliner into Zurich, and it works. It works for us. We have flown before. It is nice when you can do that, but sometimes it just airline is practical. So yes. Talking of airliners, Sarah.
Yeah, so my story is about the final 747 jumbo jet, which was delivered to its new owners, called Atlas Air Worldwide. So that marks the end of 50 years of production, and they had a ceremony to send it off, and that was at Boeing's Everett factory in Washington, where there's been 1,574 built. So what they did was they had the employees who built the very first 747 return to the factory, and they were honoured in a ceremony. And it was also attended by actor and pilot John Travolta, who's actually rated on the 747. So he attended and gave a speech. And if you want to watch it, there's a link. I'll put it in the comments. So it's a link to the news story, and you'll see John Travolta giving a little speech during that send-off. So yeah. Last one.
I wonder if Darren Lewington was there. With a hacksaw.
Darren was running around with a Sharpie, marking out bits for future reference. Here's some clock frames. This is going to be a coffee table. Yes. Dave White said, I'm going. This is to fly into Aero, Constance, and then Catamaran Ferry. Very nice. Dave Disney says, has anyone flown into Markdorf? I thought it was gliders only.
Ultralights.
Ultralights, okay.
Yeah.
John Miller's got a good point. 50 years in production and started just 60 years. This is the 747. Started just 66 years after the Wright brothers first flew. That is amazing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Quite remarkable. I've got a note. Oh, Dave, before I go to my note, you've got some news about Rougham and Nottingham Tollerton, haven't you?
Yeah, a couple of airfield stories. Rougham, which is on the east of the country, that Rougham Estates, which owns the area, have given all its residents notice to quit the airfield by the 31st of May this year. And apparently the estate manager was reported as saying the site is to be returned to farming. However, if you look around the area, there are various new roundabouts and a big new ring road around a massive industrial estate that's next door. And these roundabouts and spur roads point directly towards the airfield, kind of indicating that it's not going to be farming, it's going to be something completely different. Whether it's houses or industry, we don't know yet. But that's definitely happening. Not so certain is Nottingham Tollerton. It's been reported in the local paper that new plans for the demolition of the Nottingham City Airport at Tollerton could happen, and to build a large number of houses. A company called Vistry Homes has proposed an environmental impact assessment. So to develop the land at Tollerton Airfield, they're proposing to submit a planning application to build up to 1,600 homes. It would involve the demolition of the cafe and the air traffic control building, as well as the removal of the runway. However, it's not happened yet. It's just a report. There's still a way to go on that one. So it may not happen, but it'd be a shame to lose a proper airport, with a hard runway. It's a big thing to lose. You don't get them back. Interestingly, there's on the Flyer forum just a bit of a discussion about this, and someone said, "How many airfields are left operational?" And Tim Dawson of Sky Demon went away and counted how many airfields are on their charts. He came to the total of 543. There are some more, but some have been omitted because the owners of the strips have asked them not to put the details onto Sky Demon.
Yeah.
Then another question: how many of those 543 have runways with more than 500 meters? And the answer: 393. So the total's whittling down, if you like.
Yeah. I think there's potentially a little newsy feature, I think, to drill down some of that Sky Demon data.
Yes,
I'd never have known how many airfields there were in the UK.
Yeah. It's reassuring that there's the number that there is, but it's like we always say with airfields: once they're gone, they're gone. It's really hard to make another one, easy to lose one. So, Richard Kennedy says lots of easy access for big tractors. Best place in the world for GA. Possibly not. Holland says Ruffin will be farmed for 3 years, and then they'll probably grow some full bed semis. Yeah, and worryingly, and I'm not sure if anyone else said this, midlife PPL. Anyone heard about the proposed redevelopment beside White Waltham? I haven't.
I haven't heard that. No.
I know sometimes you do. It's a bit like the Nottingham Tollerton thing. You do get these proposals come along where it's just someone with an idea, but it's all scarily too much sometimes. It's easy to make that jump once the idea is out there, and there's no going back. So
I'm surprised White Waltham isn't listed actually, because it's a historic airfield from World War II, and its runways. Did you know the grass runways have got metal chain underneath them to try and make them smoother and more usable in wet weather?
Ah, okay, yeah, I can believe that. So yeah, wow, okay. Midlife PPL said, "I will send details. Send details to Dave for the news."
Yeah,
excellent. So I've got a note from Ian which said, remember that question about how much we made from the live stream YouTube viewing? This is basically how much YouTube pay us. He said, we forgot to give you the answer last week. He said, it was £7.95. And I remind he said, join the Flyer Club. It's only £35 a month.
He spelt Flyer wrong on that document, didn't he?
He has, yeah. I'm not going to read out what he wrote there. It's a motivational thing, but I'm going with Flyer. And, yeah. None of us are retiring and ordering our Cirrus jet yet. So, cool. Right. Well, it's perfect timing for our guest. I'll hand over to you, Johnny.
Yeah, so tonight's guest is a former RAF air traffic controller who now works for NATS as a deputy general manager. And he also became involved with Aerobility after becoming paralysed from the waist down in 2018, and is now also one of the DFT's aviation ambassadors. So we'll bring him in.
Hello.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you all?
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. So you've actually featured in Flyer before. So let's talk about flying quickly first. You've had a couple of first solos, haven't you? Can you just tell us a bit about those?
Yeah. So I first learned to fly in July 1991. So I was living in Belgium. My dad was in the military, so he was in the Navy, and he was based at a place called Shape, which is about 40 miles south of Brussels. And I started to learn to fly in Belgium at a USAF base called Chevres, which has one of the longest runways I think I've ever been on. I started in a Tomahawk, and it took hours and hours and hours to get 7 hours. I mean, the weather in Belgium was rubbish. So I took myself off to Florida for 4 weeks and got a PPL, and came back to Belgium and transferred that to a Belgian PPL, which limits you to flying only in Belgian sovereign airspace. And there's not a great deal of that. And after that, I joined the Air Force in 1992 as an air traffic controller, the Air Force having decided that irrespective of the fact that I had a pilot's license, I didn't have the aptitude to fly. So they offered me air traffic control or navigator, and I chose the former. I did that for 8 years and then transferred across to NATS in 2000. And part of the training then was that you got 15 hours of PPL instruction, which I did at Wickham Air Park. And so went solo for the second time in 2000. As you alluded, in May 2018, I was paralysed overnight. And at the end of 2021, when I sat down to write down what my goals would be for the following year, I thought, why not try and get a pilot's license back again? You know, it won't be easy. First, you've got to get your medical and then have a medical flight test and then go through the whole syllabus, because there was no, irrespective of the fact that I'd had a license, there was no concession given. So I went solo for the third time, first solo in January last year, and got the PPL in June. But interestingly, I always found that the aeroplane was slightly out of balance. The ball was right always, and it troubled me. I thought, why is the ball always right? What is wrong with this aeroplane? Of course, you don't blame yourself to start with. And then when I transferred, so I learned on the P-28, and then I transferred across to the C-42 Icarus. And it was in that aircraft that I realized why the ball was always right. And it's because my left foot, which is totally numb, I have no feeling in it, was resting on the pedal, on the rudder pedal. And I didn't know what the pressure, I don't know what pressure I'm exerting unless, you know, I physically have to think, right, push now. So it resting on there was just enough to put the airplane slightly out of balance. So now I have to build into my, well, it's not even a Frida check because it's more frequent. I check left foot off the rudder. So every day is a learning day, especially when you're flying.
Yeah, amazing. Tell us a bit about your role at NATS. Are you still in the position of being able to plug in and control, or are you in the lofty heights above that now?
Yeah, well, the not so lofty heights, but yes, you'll be pleased to hear that I'm no longer. I think the last time I controlled was just before the Olympics, so the year before, so 2011, and then I was a supervisor in the ops room, and then in 2017 I stepped out and became deputy general manager, and obviously there was a hiatus as I spent 6 months in hospital. But yes, I still work there, and I would say this, wouldn't I? But air traffic control, certainly the best job in the world. We're having a debate actually amongst the ambassadors the other day when we all got together, and the aviation lawyer, who is one of us, declared that aviation wouldn't exist without lawyers. And of course the pilots said, but they wouldn't exist without pilots. But everybody knows the real reason, that without air traffic controllers, none of them can get airborne. So.
Brilliant. So from when one thing that we always harp on about on live streams and in general is airspace. So from when you started controlling in the Air Force to now, how's UK airspace changed from your perspective?
Well, it kind of hasn't, has it? So the UK is, we're unique, I suppose, in the fact that, and I can compare this because I've been lucky enough to go to Japan and to Washington actually and look at how they do air traffic control. And the big benefit that those two countries have is vast land masses, far more so than we have. And they also don't have all of their major international airports so close to one another. So you know, the airspace within the UK has its foundations back in the 1960s. And when you look at a map from the 1960s and you look at an airspace map now, whilst it's grown a bit and there is, you know, the terminal maneuvering areas around those airfields, the basic principles are still the same, which is why airspace modernisation is high on the CAA's agenda and the government's agenda, in fact. And we are working and have been for some years now to try and deliver that. But as you can imagine, and I'm sure you know, it's not a quick process. But at the moment, it's, I suppose you would describe it as suboptimal. You have, you know, all aircraft that depart the major international airports coincide or conflict rather with the aircraft that are arriving into the airports. So, you know, there's an awful lot of tactical intervention required by the air traffic controllers to make it all work.
And where did your RAF career take you? Are there any good tales you've got from
I mean, it was
around the world?
Good tales from a personal perspective. So I only did 2 tours because I was only in for 8 years. So I started my career at RAF Benson near Oxford, and at the time that was there was a big mix of aircraft. So there were the Chipmunks from the Air Experience flights. There were 2 University Air Squadrons flying Bulldogs. There was the Wessex. There was the Queen's Flight flying the BA 146. And there was the flight checkers flying the Andovers. So there were an awful lot of aircraft. And in fact, I was there on the fateful day that the now King, Cat 5, a BA 146 up in Scotland when he landed on the wrong end. So that was interesting. I also got conned into what was sold to me as, do you want to come night flying in an Andover? We're going low level through the heli lanes in London, and I should have twigged that was a ruse, and indeed it was, as we spent the next 3 hours flight checking the Dover VOR, which was not the most exciting thing to do. I suppose the only other anecdote from that particular tour was my boss was keen for me to, in the first few weeks that I was there, he was keen for me to visit other parts of the station and declared gleefully on one of my first days that he had arranged for me to visit the RAF police dog section and have a go with the dogs. So they put me in their suit and said, right, run, and we'll release the hound. And when it hit me between the shoulder blades, it knocked me for 6 and dragged me like a rag doll by my arm. Sadly, when he called the dog off, it was still a little bit too excited and bit my face, much to the shock of the 30 or 40 people who were watching in the porter cabins. And then I turned around with blood pouring out of my face. I had to go back, funnily enough, after I'd been stitched up in the medical centre. I had to go back and get my hat, which was there. And the dog, as I walked past its cage, obviously recognised the scent and wanted another piece of me. But I survived that. And then I went from there, I went to RAF Shawbury, which is where I started out my career as an instructor at the Central Air Traffic Control School.
Amazing.
Blimey.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that story. So talk us a bit about how you got involved with Aerobility. Did they help you after your paralysed? Or did you? I think you flew with somebody else, didn't you?
Yeah. So interestingly, so I live near Southampton, and of course I was aware of Aerobility because NATS is a corporate sponsor of the charity and has been for some 10 years now. And following my injury, I wanted to get back to work, and I got back to work quite quickly, and then I saw in the June of 2019, that there was a space or an advertisement for trustees. And I thought, well, you know, you spent all this time in the aviation industry, you're now a disabled person, that's got to be a perfect fit. So I applied, went through the interview process and was lucky enough to get the role. And interestingly, we always say the world is small, don't we? The aviation world is even smaller. So whilst I was undergoing treatment in the back end of 2018 at a place called Oaksey House in Lambourne, which is where the Injured Jockeys Fund has a base and treats professional jockeys who get thrown off horses and break bones and whatever. I was being treated on a physio bench, and on an adjacent bench was another gentleman being treated, and I heard him talking about flying and aeroplanes, and we weren't allowed to talk to each other because of, we were both being treated by professional physios. But when we went out, I said, "Oh, I heard you talking. Have you heard of a charity called Aerobility?" And he said, "Heard of them? They've saved my life." And this guy had learned to fly with Aerobility. He's an amputee, and he is now a trustee as well, and a good friend of mine. And interestingly, he's just bought a bulldog, which used to be many years ago a naval trainer, and he bought it in Australia, had it shipped over here, and he's had it adapted now so that the brake, he's got a brake pedal on the joystick. So he's adapted that for his use, and it's available to be flown through Aerobility as well. So very small world, and amazing the people that you meet on your journey.
Yeah.
I never knew that about the bulldog.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. So tell us a bit. How often do you get down and try and do some flying?
It's been a bit limited over the winter. I've actually set aside in my head, I've done a lot of traveling in the last few months as well. But I've set aside 3 months in the summer to stay in the UK and fly. I flew last weekend, but I've lost, I'm not ashamed to say this, I've lost a bit of confidence in my own flying ability. And I think that's swapping to a new aircraft, and it takes a bit of time to understand the nuance of it. So when I fly, the last couple of flights I've had an instructor with me, and because I value life, right? And we flew. It wasn't a particularly long flight. We only went to Bembridge on the weekend, but it was really useful. And then to come back and the thing that I'd lost most confidence with, I guess, is landing. And when you grease one and you think, oh, that's better. And I had that feeling on Sunday. So hopefully the next time I go, the confidence will start to build. But I am enjoying flying that Icarus, because it's quite a powerful little beast. And once you put the throttle to max, it gets airborne pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ed.
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say that they're amazing little machines. What's fascinating is, I don't know if you've ever seen them. If you take the fuselage shell off them, they're really clever, because it's like one big tube from front to back that everything mounts, and the fuselage is just kind of cosmetic.
Yeah, it is an incredible thing to fly, and actually, and this is pertinent in today's world. It's so much more affordable than flying the PA-28, which is one of the main reasons that I switched to it, because you can build up hours and spend half as much money.
Yeah. What kind of advice would you have for people who have got the dream of flying, but have got some kind of disability? How first of all, how can they get involved with Aerobility, and what can Aerobility do for people like that? So
I mean, I say this from the bottom of my heart, really. Aerobility is, and this because some of you have visited, is an unbelievable charity. And when you see somebody who has physical disability on the ground, and we put them in an aeroplane and they take the controls, when they get out of that aircraft, the smile is the biggest smile you've ever seen. And one of our strap lines is, if I can fly an airplane, what else can I do? And another anecdote, and it's the same guy actually who was on that physio bench that I mentioned. He still suffers really bad pain as a result of the accident that he had. But when he's up in the air, he doesn't get that pain at all, because the brain is in a very fascinating muscle, in that your fight or flight is, I'm keeping you alive, you're flying this aeroplane and you need to do this, this and this. So the pain disappears. But his quote is probably one of the best quotes I've heard. And he said, when I am flying the aeroplane, I'm just another voice on the radio. Nobody knows what's up with me. Nobody can see me. They can hear me, and I'm the same as everybody else. So to answer your question, Johnny, anybody who has a disability and would like to experience the magic and wonder of flight, go to the Aerobility website, aerobility.com. Our telephone number's on there, or you can email us, and we cater for pretty much every disability. I'd say 99.9% of disabilities, and we've got hoists, we've got adapted aircraft, and we've got a fantastic team who will make sure that we give you what you need.
That's brilliant. Thank you. We've just put the link for people. Yeah, link is in the comments for anybody who wants to visit. Ed and I keep pressing the same button, so it's flashing up and off on the screen.
And Brian, I'm right in thinking that you're one of the newest DFT ambassadors, aren't you, for aviation?
Yes, there's 13 of us. We were inducted 2 weeks ago, and the overarching principle for the aviation ambassadors is to encourage the younger generation to consider a career in aviation, and that's really important to me in terms of what does that actually mean. Define younger generation. Well, I have my own definition, and that's school-age kids, age 11 to 18, I would say, school and college. And I'm a firm believer, this is my personal view, that you get into aviation through either being the offspring of somebody who's in aviation, or somebody in your family's in aviation, or you've had a careers advisor which has said, oh, have you considered a career in aviation? And I would also suspect that most kids, if you ask them, you know, what about a career in aviation, they instantly default to pilot, because that's pretty much what people do. But there's such a plethora of almost any job outside of the industry is done within the industry. If you think about an airport, and you've got retail staff, check-in staff, baggage handlers, the people who clean the aircraft, they're a vital part of the aviation industry, because if you don't have a working toilet in a commercial aircraft, you're not going anywhere. So, you know, and opening people's eyes to all of those opportunities within the industry is a key part of what we're doing. And there are 12 other fantastically inspirational people. And I suppose I will just take this opportunity, why not, to put a plea out to anybody who may be watching, so I'm arranging, or have arranged only today, I've firmed up on some of the detail. On the 23rd of June, I'm going to host an aviation open day at Leon Solent for school kids, up to 800 children that day. And the plan is to have a representation from around the industry to showcase the careers that are available. And whilst I've got a dozen or so, if anybody who is watching thinks, oh, do you know what, we could come and have a little stand there, that would be much appreciated. And if anybody has that capability, feel free to email me. It's dead easy, brianwheeler@aerobility.com.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah.
What sort of, who have you got lined up? What sort of kind of breadth of people have you got lined up so far to come along?
So one of the ambassadors actually is a young man called Jack, who is a BGA gliding champion at 16, an incredible human being, and he has offered to come and display his glider. I'm not quite sure whether we'll get that past the council, but hey, if you don't ask. He's also going to get the BGA to bring their gliding simulator. There's a drone company. I've asked the RAF to come along. Hopefully we've got use of the DA-40 simulator at Lee as well. Bristow's hopefully with the search and rescue helicopters. And then some other surprises, which I won't mention yet, just in case it doesn't happen and then there'll be mass disappointment. Engineering companies, the Royal Navy as well. So NATS, obviously, and the Aviatrix project, which you may or may not have heard about. So obviously Kanchana is going to come along to that as well. So we've only put it together in the last 2 weeks. We've gone firm today, and so that will grow now as we head towards the big day.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And that's 23rd of June at Leon Solent.
23rd of June at Lee, yeah.
Brilliant. Keep us posted on that, Brian, and we can share more information as it comes out.
Well, that'd be great. I'll do that.
Excellent. Cool. Good. Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. As Peter says, another great guest and interview. Great.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all very much for the opportunity. It was great to come on and chat to you. And yes, being an editor of a magazine does count as being in aviation employment. I would say.
That's not it. We don't treat that as being a job, do we, Dave? It's just fun.
Do you know how many hours I put in a week?
I know. I gave you the job. Yeah. Well, Brian. Yeah, as Johnny said, thank you very much. And all the best for your DFT ambassador work this year, and hopefully we'll see you at Leon Solent on the 23rd of June.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. It must be
you,
time.
Thanks, Brian.
Lots of good stuff there. Thanks, Brian. Great guest. Really interesting to learn more about Aerobility. Can't say enough really about the great work that Aerobility does. It is tremendous, and great to see Brian as one of the new ambassadors for DFT. So this week's Fancy Hangar. After hearing the news that Boeing has delivered their last 747, that got us thinking of all the aircraft they've made. If we were to pick a Boeing for our Fancy Hangar, what would we pick? So who's first?
It's Dave.
It's Dave.
Right. Okay. So I've chosen the Model 314, which doesn't mean much to most people. If I say Clipper, it probably does. It's a seaplane. Apparently, Pan American Airlines asked for a long-range 4-engine flying boat, and Boeing came up with this, the Model 314, nicknamed Clipper, after the great ocean-going sailing ships. The Clipper used wings and engines nacelles from a giant XB-15 bomber, but it also had Wright 1500 horsepower double cyclone engines. It's a great name, double cyclone engines. Eliminated the lack of power that handicapped the XB, and it was considered a jumbo of its time. Had a 3,500-mile range, and it made the first scheduled transatlantic flight in 1939. By the end of that year, Clippers are routinely flying across the Pacific, and the passengers looked down at the sea from large windows and enjoyed the comforts of dressing rooms, a dining salon, and each of the 74 seats converted into bunks for overnight travellers. It's basically a 4-star hotel in the air. It was also the very first Air Force One. President Franklin D. Roosevelt travelled by Boeing Clipper to meet with Winston Churchill at the Casablanca conference in 1943.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's very cool.
Yeah,
and very. That's, you've got to say, that is, you'll need a fancy harbour. Your fancy hangar next to for that.
Yeah.
But I guess it combines your flying and boat love, doesn't it? It's that's a magnificent machine.
Mm.
Yeah, right.
Very good. Right, I
Who's
think
next?
Sarah is up next.
What's it going to be?
I've gone for the B-17. So there's a few different variants made. This is a B-17G, and this picture was performing at the Chino Air Show. So, 4-engine heavy bomber built in the 1930s. It first saw action in the Pacific War, where it conducted raids against Japanese shipping and airfields. And apparently, during World War II, it dropped more bombs than any other aircraft. So I think everyone knows the name, sadly, from recent events in November when there was the Dallas Air Show. So one of the airplanes lost in that was the B-17 Flying Fortress. There's only 45 remaining and only 9 of them airworthy. And there's only one in the UK, in Europe, that flies from the UK, and that's Sally B. And I'm sure everyone here has seen Sally B at some point.
Everyone knows Sally B.
Everyone knows Sally B. So yeah, just stunning aircraft. But this one I absolutely love. This B-17G is just stunning. So yeah, that would be mine.
That's choice. Yeah, there's already a Sarah Wind. John Milner says watching Sally B start up at Duxford is quite an experience, quite smoky, I'm sure. Yeah, very nice machine that. And so far 4 engines all the way. Johnny, are you going to break the 4 engine routine?
I am. Shall I go next?
Go on then. Hit us with your beautiful Boeing.
I've gone for an open cockpit, 60-foot wingspan, nearly 4 tons, 2-bladed fixed pitch prop. Look at this.
Oh,
look at this. Oh, actually, that's the 3-blader. But this is the Boeing monomail, which was basically built to haul mail around. But as you can see, it's got a bit of a passenger cabin inside. The early ones could hold 6 people. Later models would hold 8. But the single pilot sat in the open cockpit, and it first flew in 1930. It was called the Model 200. And then there was a Model 221 and a 221A, which was slightly stretched even further. They're powered by Pratt & Whitney Hornet. Whoa, what was that noise?
I don't know. That was amazing noise, wasn't it?
That was weird. Powered by a Pratt & Whitney Hornet, 500 odd horsepower, about 140 knots. But just imagine being sat. Look at him. He's happy. He's loving it.
Small though. Look at it.
It looks like quite a cool cockpit to be in. It's probably better to be in that aeroplane looking out than looking at it, because it's not a looker, really, is it?
No,
and also just flash that photo, the first photo up. And it's like, how heavy must that engine be? And look how little aeroplane there is forward of the wing versus how much aeroplane there is after the wing. That engine must weigh a ton or 2 tons. But there's no question that would cause, that would cause a stir at a fly-in if you turned up in that.
Yeah, if you turned up to Oshkosh in that, everybody would be looking.
It would be a show. Yeah, it would be a showstopper. But mine has turned up at Oshkosh and was a showstopper, and that's because I picked this. I went with the fabulous Boeing 307 Stratoliner. It was derived from the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, entered commercial service in July 1940, and it was the first airliner in revenue service with a pressurized cabin, along with supercharged engines. They were 1,100 horsepower Wright GR1820 Cyclone engines, and it could cruise above the weather. It was a massive advance at the time. The DC-3 was cruising around at 160 miles at 8,000 feet. With the 307, you could be at 220 miles an hour at 20,000 feet, and you could be sipping your G&T and not even being shaken around. Take a look. If you look down the fuselage at kind of high-ish level, you'll see some little tiny windows, and those are all the little windows over the bunk beds. It's got a beautiful, and this was airline travel in the era of beautiful travel. It was designed initially, it only had a capacity for 33 passengers, bumped up to 38 and eventually 60. But it's just 10 were built, 9 as airliners. Interestingly, 1 was a private sale to Howard Hughes, who had his as a flying penthouse. He paid $315,000 for it. That's equivalent to 6.8 million today. The 307, sadly, just 1 survives, and that's this example, which I think it hauled meat. It went through various different owners, ended up in one of the Latin American countries, hauling meat cargo. Ended up back in the UK, in the US. Boeing restored it to perfection for the Smithsonian, and it attended Oshkosh, and then was placed in the museum. Well, Actually, it got dropped in Puget. It got dropped in the water outside Seattle when they ran out of fuel, and it got restored again. And now it's in the Smithsonian. And imagine that. It's like, imagine seeing that floating. It would be bad. So just one example remains. Interestingly, the fuselage of Howard Hughes's Stratoliner still survives, and that's because it got converted into a houseboat and is now in a museum. So I'm going to have to. So has anyone been keeping an eye on the comments? So I'm just going back through. Someone said, "Good start, Dave." Nick Allen predictively said, "Ed's Boeing will be shiny." So that was a good shout. Martin Loosby says, "L-15 Scout is a good call, and the L-15 is completely oddball if you've ever seen one." KC-97, if you want a nice big tanker. How about a Stearman? Not Stearman, as Jonathan Hollis. It's Stearman with an A, not two E's. Dave wins.
That's something completely different.
Yeah, at least it's got a single seater. Good choice, Dave. No dressing rooms on the B-17. Sarah wins. Stuart Rue said 377 Stratocruiser. Need a 0 in there, Stuart. My wife is called Sally B. Ah, I see. Well, is she Sally Fraser Benison? Yes. What else have we got? Dave wins. What a wonderful way to travel. Sarah might win. Johnny wins. Jonathan Holland describes Johnny's as a cigar tube with wings. Eric Ings. Beat that, Ed. I don't know. Was it easy to beat? What else have we got? Well done, Ed. Ian wins. Ian's not here. He can't win. Ed wins. Another winner, Ed. Good choice, a winner. Definitely Ian wins. He's not here. You're missing him. That's Ed. That's lovely. Ed wins. Ed's picked at the last. Dave wins. Flying boats are just cool. Well, I can't really argue against that, can we? All good choices. Participation prize from Crispin Horsfield there for all of us. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say, Jonathan. If you landed on the lake at Oshkosh in a Clipper, you would win. That would be winning. Dave still wins. Difficult choice between Ed and Dave. Ed wins. All good choices. Still going with Sarah. Dave wins. Champion Ed. It might be me. I have no idea who Arthur is, but he won. Is it a Boeing Appreciation Society? John, that's the idea of Fancy Hangar. It was your favourite Boeing. We've had not many other suggestions for favourite Boeing. Oh, Dave, a late push. Dave wins. Dave wins. Dave wins. It could be a Dave. Could be a Dave wins. Like them all.
Yeah, my favourite comment from Jane.
Dave is my choice. You're not Dave, but it's aircraft. Oh, of course.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes, I'm not going to call it. Instead, we'll just say, Dave, give us events.
Right. Yes. Well, it's February still, so there's not much around. Apparently, there's a first aid course on the 15th at Bodmin. Also on the 16th, there's another Gasco safety evenings. Looking a bit further ahead, Rob from Sky Demon is giving a tips and tricks talk at Red Hill Aero Club. It's a ticketed evening, so you need to apply and get a ticket. And the links are on the website. I say the website, the Flyer website. Look at the events section, and on the 11th of March. So if you're in the southeast, go and see Rob. And
I would love to, I just ever since Rob appeared on one of his top tips, and he was really focused on the word absurd. You remember the absurd NOTAM one? And I feel that if I went to one of those, I would be sat in the audience going, absurd.
Yeah. All NOTAMs are absurd.
Yes, exactly. Cool. Well, thanks very much to everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you to Brian, who's still in the green room. We'll be seeing him shortly. Don't forget, just £5. I think I'm right in saying, Johnny and Sarah, £5 a month for the Flyer Club.
Yep. Right.
If you're not a member, join. If you know someone who needs to be a member, tell them. So, obviously, if you're a Fly Club member, join us for the live stream extra next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Otherwise, we'll see you next week for another live stream at 7:30.
With the CAA next week, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. We'll look forward to that. And I think Ian will be joining us. He'll be away on holiday, but he's dialing in for that one. So see you all next week.
See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.